All right, I think this is working. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Here we are. All right, there we are.
Oh, you know?
We are live. Gotta wait for people to show up. We're just getting. All right, here we are. We are live. I'm joined with Paul, who longtime viewers of the stream know is the reason I got into this. Paul is the one who talked my shy self into putting myself out online, doing the coaching. I discovered that I really like it. It's been 1 year since we started, and yeah, it's going strong. We've been doing this every week for a year, and it's just been getting better and better and better. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. This is happening every Sunday, live coaching. We talk about anything windsurfing related, mainly focused on the waves, but we'll cover any topic. We like to have good discussions, have fun. It's centered around getting better with windsurfing, so we talk about gear, we talk about technique, we talk about locations, we talk about just sort of technical analysis, mindset, all of that stuff. The discussion takes place during the week in a Facebook group, which is Graham Ezzy's Windsurf Coaching Community on Facebook. You guys are already members, but if you're not members, this is the group, and it's facebook.com/group/Ezzy Coaching. Thanks to everyone who donates to keep this going. So here's a list of current donors. So thank you guys so much. That helps with the lights and the cameras and to keep everything going. If you want to donate, you can go into the group and go to announcements, and in there somewhere there's a PayPal link, and you can do it. And that is appreciated to keep this going. And I think that's kind of all the housekeeping stuff we need to get into. Hello, Tomas, Fabrice, Ragnar, Dom, Ridge. It's great to see you guys all here. It's great to be joined with Paul again. Paul, what have you been up to since the last time you were on the stream, which was, I want to say, in May last year, or was it? Did we do one together since then?
I think the last stream was in May. Yeah, that's right. When you left Maui.
Or June. Could have been in June.
May or June.
Yeah.
So, what was the question?
What have you been doing? What's been going on in your life, in your windsurfing life, in your non-windsurfing life? Hey, Sammy.
I was focusing on all your hints and tips you gave me during coaching. I was trying to do it in to practice as much as possible, and I miss you a lot.
Aww.
And no, I was in May. I left Maui in July. I came back to Germany, and and then we made
Hey, Carl.
The clinic in Denmark, and I think it's Thomas, right? He was also in the clinic.
Yeah,
right?
Tomas was on the clinic.
So
yeah.
which is super cool. And since then I'm stuck here in Germany. Which is,
have you been sailing? Have you had a chance to sail much?
Yeah, no, not really much. So that's in January I bought a mountain bike to ride trails actually.
Right.
And we are live here in Berlin, no?
Yep,
we're
in Berlin at the moment. Yep. I'm based in, as you guys know, I'm in Europe now. Hey, Carl. My wife and I were having our second kid, so we left Maui to come back to Europe for that, and means I'm a little bit restricted on how I can get in the water, at least for the next month or so, but I'm pretty dying to sail. I had a bad knee injury last year, as you guys also are aware of, and now I'm all healed up and just frothing to get on the water as much as I can. Hi, Ami Riza. Welcome to the stream. So I'm hoping to get on the water. I know there was some wind this weekend. Did you guys get on the water? If you did, let us know how it was, where it was, what the wind was like, what the waves were like. I saw some great pictures. We saw Carl got some good footage. Hey, Olav. We're going to go through some of Carl's footage later um, in the stream. We've got some posts during this week about some gear stuff. We don't have that many topics to go over. Hey, Adrian, for the stream in terms of technique for this week, which is kind of nice because it's it's been a busy weekend that we've had here with our family. We've got kids that are about the same age, and they've been pretty busy together. So we're kind of exhausted now at the end of this weekend. Oh, cool. Emma Riza, you were able to sail on the new 5.8. Cool. I'm glad you're stoked on it. I'm happy to hear that. Carl was out at St. Peter. Nice. Went for the forward. All right, Carl. First off, congratulations. Second, what helped you? What was the strategy that you used, the mental strategy? Because the forward loop is something that you've been dealing with for years. I know we've been talking about this, and you know the technique, and you're struggling with the mental side, which is the biggest hurdle for everyone with the forward loops. What helped you to crack that egg? I really want to hear, and I think the rest of the community does as well. Olaf had a session on a 5.3. Nice. 4 attempts on the spin loop. Cool. Hey, John. Welcome to the live stream. So this is a little bit less technique oriented today than normal. We're celebrating our 1 year anniversary of the stream. So Paul was the one that initially got me into doing the streaming, and I'm here with my wife. We're visiting him and his wife in Berlin for this weekend. So we've got a bit of technique to go over, but generally, John, we've got a list as long as my arm of technical questions and videos and photos to go through, and we spend the stream coaching based on the specific questions and photos and videos. If you're a member of the Facebook group, you can post photos, questions, videos, comments, and we discuss them, which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do live because you guys can interact. We can have this back and forth with the chat. Hey, Greg.
Looks like there were a lot of sailing this weekend.
Yeah, there was a lot of sailing. There's wind in Europe, which is great. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of it. Maybe tomorrow I can get on the water. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But that's fine. I heard Silt was good too. A friend of mine went up to Silt and had a session. Greg had a nice onshore session. That sounds good. Ridge, 2 sessions in the last 2 days. What more can you ask for, right? I really want to come to the Netherlands and get some good sailing. I had, maybe it was 2 years ago, a really good trip there where I had a lot of fun in Hoek van Holland. We had a vacancy session, which was okay. I think the spot can get a lot better than that. But then it was the next day in Hoek van Holland, and it was so fun. It was perfect sideshore wind, head to logo high waves, and just a ton of fun. I want to come back to Holland.
Where the go-to place tomorrow or the next day?
Yeah, where are you guys going? What's the best place? I think there's a lot of spots around, but I want to hear where you guys are going.
Yeah, this week, like the next week.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sailing. Hey, Dan. Is it reasonable to have a few tough sails after changing sail brands? How long do you try something before realizing it might not suit your sailing style?
Until you end up at Ezzy sails.
All right, Adrian says good sailing at the Witterings. That's nice to hear. Yeah, I want to come to Maslakta. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm probably saying that terribly wrong. But I've seen pictures from there that look really good. All right, Dan, to get to your question, I think you want to give a lot of time, and it depends, right? It depends on your comfort zone and what you're willing to go through. But we get so accustomed to our gear, how it is, that when we make a little change, it can feel unsaleable. I know that if I move my boom this much in any direction, that my gear feels unsaleable. And that's a tiny change. But then if I sail like that for a day, it suddenly feels normal. And so there's, this adjustment process, which is really important to go through. And one of the things that I really stress in the coaching is that it's really important to do a lot of experimentation so that you're not always sailing the exact same setup. And it's a lot better for your body, it's a lot better for your mind, and it makes you a better sailor. So I haven't even gotten to your question really yet, Dan. I'm just talking about within a single set of sails or boards, playing with the fins, playing with the boom height, playing with the rigging, so that you're not always sailing the exact same, so that you don't get stuck in that rut where then any tiny change, this kind of Princess and the Pea effect, where any tiny change feels unbearable. So I really recommend doing a lot of experimenting in general when you're sailing, which helps you to adjust more easily to new equipment, new boards, new sails. I know one of my best boards that I've ever had, I hated it when I first got it, and it took me maybe 2 weeks of coming in every day, every half hour, to adjust the fins or adjust the straps or adjust the mast track where the base was in the mast track, to find the sweet spot and to figure out how to push on the board, how to ride the board, because it took a different kind of riding than what I was used to. And then after that 2 weeks, once I found the sweet spots, it really changed my life with boards. And a lot of the boards I've had since then are based off of that model, and it took that work. So with sails, it can be something similar. One thing I would really stress is to make sure that you're rigging them correctly. I don't know what brands you're sailing or what brands you're switching to or from, but making sure you've got the right amount of downhaul and outhaul, because not every sail rigs the same. And so even if you've been windsurfing for 20 years, but you get on a new sail brand, it doesn't mean that you're going to know how to rig it correctly. And so really paying attention to the rigging guides, to the rigging systems, and making sure that you're putting in that time to play with it. So play with it with more downhaul, with more outhaul, less downhaul, less whatever it is. Move it around, move your harness lines around, make sure you're in the right spot, and really feel what is uncomfortable about the sail. Does it have too much power? Does it have too little power? And then from that, try to figure out the rigging. So what I like to tell people with the Ezzy sails, hey Axel, what I like to tell people with the Ezzy sails is I've got this kind of 4-quadrant rigging system where, okay, if it's pulling too much on the top, you need more downhaul. If it feels like it's releasing too much on the top, so the sail's kind of bending and you don't have good power because the sail's twisting too much, you need less downhaul. If you feel like the sail is pulling you on your backhand, you need more outhaul. If you feel like the sail is just dead on the backhand, like you're opening and closing a door with your backhand, then you need less outhaul. And that's what gets the pressure to be that right point where then the sail is just really balanced and comfortable. And because every person's different, their weight's different, their board's different, everything's different, the exact places where you're going to put the downhaul is going to be different. And so you've got to put that time in, especially at the beginning when you're starting with new gear, to figure out those places for you, what works for you, right? But then, you might realize after, say, 2 weeks of doing that work and having, enough time on the water over those 2 weeks where that sail brand or board brand or whatever it is not for you, and that's fine. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have a follow-up question, Dan. All right, Caro, so you had one forward attempt, got it on camera, just went out and saw this wave, and it felt like, yes, that one looks like I should go for it. Cool. I'm not pretty powered up, and I guess what helped my grubby attempts yesterday on the waveboard. Can you post the video, Caro? We want to celebrate this. I'm stoked for you. Post the video on the Facebook group. I really want to see it. Haj Debrada says, what to do with the sail when it's pushing my board down and not lifting the board? I tried to adjust boom up and move base backwards, and the problem is still present. So do you mean that it's pushing the board down on the front or pushing it down on the back? A lot of times if I want the board to be more easily planing, I'll move the base farther forward actually, and that's what allows it to ride the board more parallel with the water, which helps it to get planing. And then moving the boom up is also something what I would do. It's to help get the board up on the water help with early planing. So maybe you want to move it forward. Oh, you're saying the board is going down in front. Well,
Downwind.
I think he means it's going down into the water. Is that what you mean, Hashtabara?
Or downwind. Downwind or downwater?
Yeah, you mean downwind or into the water? Let us know that, and I can try to think of a solution. If it's going into the water, you definitely want to move the base back, and you want to look at your where you're standing on the board, and it might be that the board is so the sail's trying to pull you forward and drown the nose of the board. So you might want to adjust how the sail's being rigged. The first thing I would recommend is putting more downhaul on the sail. Would be my first recommendation. So I'd try putting a bit more downhaul and see how that feels. So try that. Let us know how it goes. Otherwise, you want to make sure you're standing back on the board. A lot of these boards with really short noses, the really short boards, can have issues where you're diving the nose, and then you have to be really delicate with your weight balance and weight distribution, where your weight's going. Have you had that problem before, Paul?
No, never with pulling me forward. No, I had a little wobber that is like 20 years ago when I had a board with a sail and it was just like going into the wind, but it pushing me always into the wind. But I swapped the board.
Yeah.
So actually, the board I have downstairs.
Okay, that one.
Yes, that one. That was an expert
board. Okay, so Hashtabara, you tried that with the downhaul.
I think they're really.
I'm not sure.
Factors, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. It sounds kind of difficult. It sounds like there might be an issue with the gear.
Maybe write down which board you have.
This is also maybe a good question to post in the group, because there's some discussion that is maybe benefits having a lot of other people over the week to comment on it if they have similar gear and have similar issues with it. You might want to try moving your straps back. All right, Ridge tried the forward twice today. Had to find the guts again, as it's been a while. The attempts were not good. Yeah, but going for it is the first, is really the is what gets you into the forward. Is just going for it, getting the right, the right mindset just to go for it, to pull the trigger.
Is there a pro?
Hey, Daniel.
Is there
Marine?
Is there a pro windsurfer who really struggles with a forward move?
What do you mean?
I don't know if they, it's like like the feel level and force is really high, like you have as a person. That's why so many. I mean, technically, it's some kind of an easy move. It's just like has a lot to do with.
I think the stalled forwards definitely have a lot of fear factor.
How was it for you?
So learning the stalled forward, I don't have the best stalled forward technique on starboard tack, and I found them a lot easier to learn on that direction, and I have better technique on port tack with wind from the left, but it was harder mentally for me. And one of the things that really helped with the stalled forward was a bit of advice I got, which was to launch like a backloop. And so really launching into the wind up, and then when you get to the top, that's when you're coming over the gear, shifting the sail over it and installing it. And that's what really helped me with on port tack. On starboard tack, I don't have any fear with it, but I have this kind of more old school rotation style that's less with the sail in that nice position. It's more like the old school stalled forwards that you would see. And I don't know why that is, why they're not the same on either side. That's just one of the realities of windsurfing, these differences between tacks. Hey, Stina. Hey, Owen. Stina, how are the conditions? I hope you got some footage. All right, so we've got a great group here. We're celebrating our 1 year of coaching. Paul is joining me. Paul is the inspiration for all this coaching in general. He's the one that pushed me into doing this. I was probably too shy otherwise. But I've been really enjoying spending my Sunday evenings with you guys. And it's something that I want to continue doing going forward. So you guys keep posting your questions in the chat. I'm going to start going through the comments that are going on here. This was a giveaway that we did now a couple months ago, and people are still posting bits of advice on here, which I love to read. So that's cool. You guys keep it up. Your best bit of windsurfing advice you can post on this thread.
It's a really good size. I really like that bag.
So this giveaway is done. This has already been sent out. Sorry. But we can do another one. I'm keen to do another giveaway.
It's anniversary. So
yeah, maybe it's time to do another giveaway. We gotta think of the topic and we'll do something. So stay tuned. There's gonna be another giveaway. We're gonna do another bag like this, and just stay tuned. You heard it from Paul first. Yeah. All right. So we've got this Backloop from Carl. So Carl's been working on his Backloop. So we've been going through this in the group. Hey, Tristan. Yeah, we changed the hour also in Germany. I hope that hasn't messed people up. Oops. All right. So while I'm getting this sorted here. Come on, QuickTime. Yeah, I'm loving this coaching. It's so funny. I in all the years of thinking about what I'm gonna do after what I'm doing with my windsurfing, coaching was never something I considered. I was competing on the world tour, and at a certain point in time, I was going for world title. Other points in time, I was going for winning certain events, looking at Aloha Classic or winning these events in Japan, and I had some success there and some less successful times. And then I was really focused on making the videos. I was making, especially around 2014, I was making a lot of videos, and 2011, around that time, I was making a lot of videos, and so I really liked those aspects. So I was really into that side of windsurfing, and I never expected that I would enjoy the coaching. And then Paul, which thanks to Paul, sort of talked me into it. First of all, I started giving him some coaching. He encouraged me to do the live coaching, and it's so rewarding. I really, really enjoy it. I've spent for so many years of my life, if you put all the time into it, how many hours. I was trying to calculate it when I hit 10,000 hours on the water. I mean, it's so many hours of my life and so much of my life dedicated to learning this sport. And it's so rewarding and so fulfilling to be able to share that and to be able to take all these things that I've learned, these secrets or bits of experience and knowledge, and be able to transfer it to all of you guys. And to see that progress is really, really rewarding. So I really enjoy, and it's going to be something in my life going forward. And there's going to be a lot of other aspects to the coaching that are going to come out this year. We're going to do a forward loop course online. That the information is going to come out sometime in the next week or two, and there's going to be an application for it. It's going to be just for learning the forward, and it's going to be something aside from the live streams. I'm going to keep doing the live streams. The Facebook group's not going anywhere. All that stuff's staying the same, but in addition, there's going to be this course for people who can't forward loop and want to forward loop. And that's going to be a bit of a test run for me to see how coaching can work also virtually. So more in-depth coaching, but virtual. And I'm excited about that. And there's a lot of other kind of virtual coaching that I think is going to be really cool to go through. Yes, Maureen, we can go through your forwards. All right, let's get to these back loops. So this is something that Carl's been working on. So I'm going to play this. Oops, we've got music. Hold on. All right. So I really like how smooth these look, Carl. You're getting a really nice smooth rotation. This one, it looks like the video cuts out, but it looks like maybe water started out of that one. The landing is so close to being perfect. I can see that you're doing a better job of really trying to steer with the head, bring it around, and I really like the improvement that we see here. So I don't want to say too many things because I feel like you're really on the right track. And so I want to just see you continue on that track without filling your head with too many things. These are really nice, smooth rotation, just a little bit under rotating, which is perfect. It's not that uncontrolled, letting go kind of rotation. And it's coming down on the nose. Really, really nice. You know that you need to steer more with your head. In your comment, you talk about wanting to move the hands around. You don't have to do that. I know that some people do, and it can help. It's not 100% necessary, and so I'd rather you really focus on getting that up motion and then steering the rotation with your head, like you're doing, and you can do that even a little bit more, where the head is really guiding the rotation. But this is great. If you do want something to work on, it's the same principle that we were discussing last week in the back loop. If I can pull up that footage, here's a sneak peek of a video I'm doing with Sarah Hauser, which is going to be released soon. So I'm not sure if this is the right. Yeah, so this shows what I'm talking about. And so we discussed this last week. So Carl, you can go again also to last week's stream and check it out. But what I want to show, and this clip shows it, is so I'm guiding the rotation with my head. So I'm looking at my landing starting at the top of the jump, and my head is looking at the same spot all the way down, which Carl, you're trying to do. But what I want you to pay attention to is the relation of my sail to my body. And so it starts kind of here, and the sail, as I'm coming down, gets pushed forward. And you'll see that the sail starts to come pushed in front of my body. So I hope you can see that in this clip. I can pull up another clip as well to make that more clear. And that motion of when you're coming down, of pushing the sail just a bit in front of you and steering that sail downwind, gives you a lot of control in the rig and helps you to get your landing right and to not over rotate. So here's another one. So here you can see it again, going up, looking with the head, and then bringing that sail comes. I mean, here it's kind of happening a little bit more at the last second, but so the sail's coming from here, moving across and in front of the body as you're coming down to the landing, which helps give you the control. I don't know. So here you can really see it happening because I need the control because I've just taken my foot off. And so here I'm pushing the sail forward there. Mm-hmm. And that helps me steer it downwind, helps me control it. Here's one from volume. Here's one from Denmark, which again, you can really see that sail moving across the body. So here it's kind of lined up with me, and there it starts getting pushed forward. Here's a video from my friend Flo Young, which I don't know if you'll see it here. You actually don't see it that much in this video, but you can really see with his head steering to get that landing. But I think you'll notice that helps. Yep, Ridge, pushing the sail forward will help you. The main thing with the back loops is getting that rotation driven from the head rather than the body. And Carl, I can really see that you're working on it. And these attempts are so good that I don't want you to start thinking about changing a lot of things, because these attempts look really great. You're coming down with control. It's a smooth rotation. It's not too whippy. I can see that you're looking with the head. So getting that just a little bit will help you, but I don't want you to start thinking about too many different things. If you have a few days where you're able to get a lot of attempts in like this, then you're going to see progress. Hey, Alex. No, what happened to your back loops? Oh, no. Day 5 of 7 days on a 3-7. It sounds super windy. Let us know what happened to your back loops. All right, let's keep going through this. We got to get to Marine's. Let's go down. Marine's on the stream. So let's go down to her stalled forward video, which we didn't get to last week. Okay, let's play this. Make sure we got the quality up. All right, we got good quality. And Alex, let us know about your back loops. What's up? What's up with the back loops? Let's make this bigger. The quality gets bad as soon as we make it bigger. I think that's the best we're gonna get. So, Marine is a great wave rider. She was on our camp in Denmark in September, pushing, trying to get better. And so here are some stalled forward loop attempts, and some great ones as well, some crashes and some great ones. And so Marine's question is, 2 years ago I started working on the stalled forwards, but I'm really slow on learning it. I have to go baby step by baby step to get accustomed to the height, the feeling, the wind, the speed, all of it. My first attempts were really close to the first crash, then it turned into something like a tweaked forward or a shy tabletop forward. I guess I have psychological issues as well as technical issues. So if you have any tips on how to get there step by step, that would be amazing. It's a tough challenge for me. Scary heights and rotating forward, but it's so stylish. So one of the things that...
First of all, you're okay. You are normal. You don't have any psychological...
Yeah, it's a scary move. It's normal to be scared. It's not a problem. I'm also scared doing stalled forwards, which is what makes them fun, having that adrenaline rush.
Is it Pozo?
This is Pozo, yeah. Mm-hmm. This is Pozo, the epic Pozo. So one of the things that you start to notice when you... That was a nice one. Mm-hmm. When you go through all of these is realizing that the angle that you're taking off makes a huge difference for how easy the rotation is. So for example, this first one, you're steering pretty downwind, and then if you look at this last one, it's also kind of downwind, but it's a steeper wave, and you're coming up, at least on this part, pretty upwind, which is one of the big tricks for doing these stalled forwards, is taking off a lot more upwind than you think you should.
But this is also like the perfect X.
What do you mean?
You told me always like with the forward loops you try to be an X, and then
yeah,
go from here to here, and you can see it really nice. Yeah, the last time.
So here's another one where you get also a nice takeoff. Where you can really see that you're taking off. Right, you're really taking off upwind. You're traveling up, getting the nose downwind, and then rotating. And this one's a little bit wet, but this is nice. So Marine, tip number 1. So like this one, this is a good example of one where it's just too far downwind on the takeoff. Right? This is all about the takeoff here. And so it's just not going to work because you're taking off too far downwind. This one's quite nice. I really like this one. This one has really nice control. And again, you're taking off more upwind. I really like this one.
Yeah.
And you're taking off upwind, you're staying compact, you've got good control of the gear, you're waiting until the apex, you're driving the sail across your body. It's kind of a cocked position, I would call it, where you're bringing the sail across your body and into the wind, and it's like a magic position. It's so cool when you do this and you get this feeling where you're traveling up in the air. You know, you're traveling, you take off upwind, you're traveling up, and you start steering the board downwind, and you're bringing the sail across your body like this, and you're pushing the mast sort of into the wind, kind of down, and you can just sit there. It's so comfortable. It's not scary. It's not like the sail is doing unpredictable things, and then you can reach back and pull it around, and the sail just kind of flips, like a lot like what you do in this one, Marine. And sometimes on these you can land on your back, and so it's good to have an impact vest like you have, because it is pretty normal in the crashes, and even on the ones that you make, to land on your back.
And biker shorts with protection.
Yeah, that can help as well for your bum and sensitive bits down there. Having biker shorts with the padding. This one you're getting a nice little table tweaky donkey kick bit, which also I recommend working on. And the trick to doing these, if you want to tweak them, Marine or anyone else, is to really sheet out. So you're kicking that leg out, and really you're bringing that front hand down in the same way across the body, and really sheeting out the sail as you're bringing that back leg, as you're scissoring your legs and twisting the lower body. And then it's when you're ready to go into the rotation that then you bring it in. So if you want to really extend that tweak, you need to be sheeting out more there and really bringing that front hand down. Bringing that front hand down, sheeting out, and pushing out this back leg to get more of a tweak. But this is a nice jump. Hey Rasmus, moin moin, Max, the Dunny, good to see you guys all. Alex, I still want to hear what happened in your backloop. So Marine, I hope you're still there. Does that help? So there's two main things that we're talking about, and one is the takeoff, and that is that you want to go up more upwind, and you can see from the jumps that you're doing that the ones where you're taking off upwind are a lot better than the ones where you're taking off downwind. And then the second factor that is really, really important is getting that mast sail moving across the body into that kind of cocked position, which you can see that you are doing a bit, and so you can accentuate that and do it even more. Those are the two things that I would really work on that I think will make a big difference and help with the consistency. Because I think one of the things that's frustrating for you is that some of these you land and some of these you crash. And so in your mind, if you're not focusing on the takeoff on them, you think, oh, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But if you're focusing on the takeoff, you realize, okay, the ones where I'm going upwind are the ones I'm landing, the ones I'm going downwind are the ones I'm crashing. And so that will hopefully help you get more consistent, is to really focus on taking off at that right angle, and then really focus on bringing that sail sort of across your body into the wind. And that's what really helps with the control and feeling like you're in control of the whole move rather than the wind being in control of you. Hey, Julian, welcome to the stream. So, Marine, is that enough? Does that help? Does that give you enough to grab onto, to hold onto, to bite onto, so the next time you're on the water, you feel comfortable to go for more stalled forwards? Do you need more? If you do need more, what part of the move is still cloudy, or what part of the move feels difficult in this context? So let us know, and we'll dissect it more. The stalled forward is interesting because it's it's not that hard of a move. There's a few of these things you've got to do, like getting the right takeoff angle, getting that sail in the right position, but then otherwise, it's not that hard. It's not like the back loop. The back loop is a much harder move. The back loop is much more difficult. In some ways, even the push loop's more difficult. Um, but it's just with the stalled forward, you've got to have. We need to know how to do a forward. So that's first. Second, you got to take off upwind. You've got to get that sail positioning, and then it's really not that hard. And then it's just getting the confidence and the comfort. But by having consistent attempts, you build the confidence. It's hard to have confidence if every time you do the move, you're taking off differently, you're crashing differently, and then your body is saying, "Oh, I don't know what's happening." So having that consistency and having that knowledge builds the confidence. And then it's not that hard of a move as long as you have those fundamentals. So, Maureen, does that help? If not, let us know. Rasmus suggests you rotate your body before you sheet in just to initiate the rotation and have force to pull the backhand. Yeah, I agree with that, Rasmus. I think that makes sense. I think there's this kind of nice, kind of twisty moment where when you're coming up, you're taking off upwind, you're coming up you come on top of the gear, you're kind of driving the nose downwind, you're pushing that mass, like I'm saying, with that front hand, like across your body and into the wind, and then you kind of start a little bit leading with this shoulder, you're kind of falling into the rotation, and then you look back and you sheet in and it finishes it. And so it's kind of like that fall that you're doing is providing the momentum to pull against the sail to get that final flip. So Maureen, are you scared to lean backward, or you said you are leaning backward because you're scared? So clarify that for us, and then we'll get into it. We'll dive into it. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we're going to move on to one of the next topics. Unless Paul, you've been working on stalled forwards. What do you think about stalled forwards?
I had some issues also, like to find a position when you start, like what you said in the beginning, like going really straight, like the back loop, and then like being super comfortable in that position where you shoot in the sail like this, because sometimes what happens, and then, on my attempts was that I get the wind from the other side, from the other side of the sail, so it pressed, pressed me down. So my positioning in general was kind of wrong. But I really love the attempts. I really love trying them and working on them. And yeah, I can also really hard recommend to have an impact rest. But then, when at the same time, it's also it's really like how you feel on a day. There are some days where I just go out. I'm really going for stall forwards, and other days it's like, I don't feel it. So okay, let's forced to train something else today. So,
I think that's an important point as well, that you really want to be comfortable when you're going for moves that take confidence. So you want to be not overpowered. You don't want to be underpowered. You don't want the waves too big. You don't want them too small. And I think that's really important for all moves, but especially the moves like the stalled forward or even the normal forward or the push loop, where it requires this confidence, where confidence is a key part of it. If you're leaning back because you're scared,
she wrote that she's in the car.
Yeah,
So,
don't get in an accident. If you're leaning back because you're scared, I think what you can think about is, instead of leaning forward, is driving it downwind. And that's maybe why you're doing we feel like you're doing those little tabletops, which is fine, and that's maybe a method for getting into the stall forward, where you don't have to come all the way over the gear, where you can come up, kind of get in that nice position, but still be a little bit back, and you're doing that by tweaking the board out around and in front of you. So you're pushing the board downwind, you're steering downwind. But to do that, then you've really got to be, at the height of the jump, you're really driving that front hand down into the wind and really sheeting out until you're ready to sheet in. And that's what gives you the control. So if you're sheeting in a little bit, it's going to be hard because the sail's going to want to pull you over. And so you've got to really be sheeting out. And I think that the less you're over the gear, the more you need to be doing that sheeting out, and the more you need to be twisting your body into the rotation, into that tabletop feeling. So give that a try. I don't know if you're going to get on the water this week, Marine, but I'd love to see some footage with you trying that. I think it would be useful. Where is the go-to place? Where is the best sailing in Europe right now? Let us know. All right, moving on a bit. So Carl's been using the F-Hot mast mount. I want to get a mast mount as well. You guys know I've been using the 360 cam with my helmet mount and my harness mount. I'm going to explore some different mount options as soon as I get on the water again. This one looks interesting. I'm going to do a bit more research and I'm going to post my own findings, but I like this footage, Carl. It looks good. It looks good for learning. I can see your hands, head, and feet and what's happening. Tom also says that the fly mount can work for both sides and post some good footage with the fly mount as well. So I think there's a lot of options here. The number one way to improve is getting footage of yourself. It's so key. It's so important. How's our stream? We've got some good stream. It's working. So the number one way to improve is to get footage of yourself. So getting a little GoPro or an Insta360 or some other action cam and a mount like this mast mount is highly, highly recommended if you want to get better, if you want to improve. All right, Mateo asked a question about the Flakka. We've got a lot of comments here about the Flakka. The number one thing, I've already said it in the comments, but the number one thing is that you really want to be driving downwind and staying over the board as you're going to the Flakka. I think the biggest mistake is when people go into the Flakka. So if this is your board, they go into the Flakka and they think about traveling upwind, when in fact you're traveling downwind but spinning in the direction of upwind. So it's not that you're coming in. So if you're the beach and the wind is coming here, it's not that you go downwind and then you're traveling here. You're going downwind, and you stay, and your momentum stays in that direction, and you're rotating that way, but while traveling downwind. And it's so important to stay over the gear. So when you're really sheeting in, you've got a nice wide grip to get into the move, and you're jumping, you're staying over the gear, sheeting in. And so even though you're rotating upwind, your body, all your momentum is traveling downwind. And I think that can really help to crack the move and get the nose in the board and rotate through the wind. It's a difficult move. It's a difficult move to learn, but it's a very fun move. So Mateo, keep us up to date on your progress. I think you've got a lot of tips here in the Facebook group. All right, a couple questions from the chat. Marine is asking, to make the board goes downwind, does it help to push down on the boom with the front end while tacking the sail across the wind? Yes, definitely. And that's part of that control position, Marine, that I'm talking about, where you're pushing down on the boom with that front hand and bringing it across your body and kind of into the wind. And that helps get you in this nice cocked position where the board is pointing downwind. You've just got so much control in the sail. It's a really, really nice feeling. So yes. Tristan says, for the Flakka, is it very important to dig the nose? Because even far downwind, I still catch the sail in my head. I think digging the nose is important. It helps give you that pivot point. Exactly. Paul makes a really good point. It really helps give you that pivot point. And so if you're going downwind and you just really think about then, all right, you're going to jump and you push in the nose kind of in front of you, and then pivot around that point, but you're traveling down that way. And I really think about my hips in the move. So I think I'm like really, jumping and rotating with my hips, and that's what helps me mentally while sheeting in the sail. You've got to you're pushing the sail forward when sheeting, and you want to stay over the gear. If you're on the heel side of the board, you'll never get through the eye of the wind. So you want to be really over the board, on top of the board, even on your toes.
I think when you do the Flakka on full speed, it's more like a gentle touch, like a gentle dip with the nose. Like a gentle touch on the water. It's not like drowning your nose into the water and just like, because that's most of the time then you crash. But it's like in full speed downwind, in the curve, and then jump, lean over the sail, wide grab, and the rotation is so quick. It's like nothing really happens.
Yeah, once you get through the wind, it's easy. Yeah. But it's one of these moves where there's an element of fine tuning to it. So you figure out the amount that you need to lean, the amount that you need to push the nose in. All right, Tristan, when you do them, it more looks like a bad punch. Interesting. So you're getting the rotation, you're getting through the wind. So that's kind of interesting. You might not need to push as much as you're doing, and really think about, instead of throwing so much with the sail, just kind of setting the sail forward and then just rotating with the lower body. It might be that you're throwing too hard. It's kind of what it's sounding like. But if you have footage of it, I can give a much better analysis, or if you let us know in the chat. All right, what else is there? So I'll keep answering your questions, but otherwise, I think that's kind of it for the group. Fred Haywood joined the group, which I love to see. So if you guys don't know, Fred Haywood is one of the original windsurfers. He's one of the first windsurfers at Hokipa. He is one of the original speed sailors, one of the fastest sailors in the world in the 80s. I think the first person to break 30 knots. I could be wrong on that, but that's in my head. So Fred Haywood is a legend. It's great to see him in the group. If you guys have any questions for him about the early days of windsurfing, of wave sailing, of speed sailing, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. Big Monday. Yeah, Big Monday is a great story. So it was this huge day. It's like the biggest day ever at Hokipa. And the pictures,
really?
Yeah, and it looks even bigger than what I've ever seen since. It was not a competition, just some day in the 80s. And so my dad was the first person to go out. And so the way my dad tells the story, so there's these huge waves that no one's ever seen before at Hokipa. And so my dad's the first one to go out. He's trying to get out, gets hit by a whitewater, getting worked. By the time he comes up to get some air, he's already on the rocks. That's how crazy and powerful it was. Ends up going out, manages to catch some waves, and then there were a few other guys that went out that day. So Fred Haywood, I think Malta Simmer, my dad, Fred Haywood, Malta Simmer, and I think there was a fourth person. I can't remember. Malta Simmer, Fred Haywood, David Ezzy, and but there are some famous pictures from Fred that Arnaud de Rosnay took from that same session, which went around the world. They were on the cover of, I think, Life magazine. It was a huge deal, and it's insane how big it was. I mean, these I've seen Hokipa with 30+ foot faces, 10-foot faces. Even in competition, we've competed with waves over 10 meters, which is terrifying, by the way, to compete. And I like big waves. I hate competing in them. But I don't know. This Big Monday was even bigger. It was this was before Jaws. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine what Jaws was like on that day. It would have been the biggest Jaws day of the last 40 years or whatever it is, which is pretty crazy to think about. So anyway, stoked to have Fred Haywood in the group. If you guys have questions for him, I'm sure he would love to answer them. Maybe we can even get him on the stream. He's on Maui, so it would have to be virtual, but maybe we can do like a question and answer. He'd probably be into that. I'd have to ask him. But if you guys want that, let me know. Otherwise, he seems keen to to be involved in the group, which is great. He's also a really good swimmer. He's the one that helped me with my backstroke. Fred gave me some great tips to help with my backstroke. I competed in swimming for a very short period of time when I was in high school, and Fred Haywood was a Olympic swimmer. Or I don't know if he competed in the Olympics or if he was an alternate. What exactly the story was, but anyway, amazing swimmer. All right, Rasmus is saying, how come Fred Masonville sailed without a harness, but you did not? You also seem to have some muscles. That's a good question. I'll find out about Craig. My dad was also really good friends with Craig. They were best friends for years. And yeah, Craig Masonville is also another legend from that era. Why he didn't use a harness, I don't know. I think he kind of saw it as a gimmick, and he was so strong it didn't really matter. I don't know. Legends. It was a cool time in our sport, for sure. Alrighty, we're I think at the end of all the topics posted in the Facebook group. Again, we've got Paul here. If you guys have any questions for Paul, who was the inspiration behind this coaching in general, so give a round of applause.
No, thank you that you're still doing it. It looks so professional now. I know how we started in Robert Territo's house on Maui, March, with a big screen in the back, Instagram, and we were trying to figure out how should we see it, what we're doing, what we're talking, and structuring and stuff like this, and how to bring the best value to the audience. And was so and now you see them. Everything, the screen mirroring, YouTube channel, chats, everything is going on, donation, group thread. I don't know, it's amazing. Your coaching I'm so stoked. I love it so much.
Yeah, thanks
for having me today.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining. So, what do we have coming up? We're going to do another giveaway, one of these bags. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be a forward loop course. You're going to have to apply to enter, and it's only for people who want to learn the forward loop. If you can already do forward loops, the course is not for you. And if you don't want to do forward loops, the course is not for you. But so stay tuned. The information for that is going to be in the group in the next week or two. And like always, you can post your photos, videos, questions, comments in the Facebook group, and we'll discuss it during the week. I hope you guys are sailing. I hope you're sailing this weekend. I hope you're sailing this coming week. If you are sailing, get footage. Get inspired, have fun, post about it in the Facebook group, and we'll talk about it next week, Sunday. And I'll see you guys all then. If you want to donate, if you want to join these guys on the donation list, you can find that in the announcement section. All right, we've got one more question, and then I'm going to sign off. Question from Leon saying, any tips on wide carving top turns in onshore conditions? Find it easier in onshore to do tight, snappy turns right when the wave breaks. It is possible, Leon, but it is difficult than in down the line conditions. Cheers, everyone. So that is definitely more difficult. You really want to get your bum low and down in the water. And one of the things that is so important for any kind of top turn is really think about steering the board like this rather than like this. So you're really getting on the heels of the board, really getting your bum low and back. So almost like your bum is touching the water. You're so low, your knees are bent, really hanging from the boom. And you're using your heels to flip the board over and really drive it around you. And so like you're kind of the center of the circle. And really getting on those heels and pushing against the board rather than, turning the board like this. Rather than trying to get the board to turn this way, you're getting it on the rail. You're getting it on your heels, the heel side. And that's really the trick to all carving cutbacks, but it makes a huge difference for especially when it's in onshore conditions. And then really getting the bum low, and then you can keep a bit of a wider grip as well. It depends how onshore the conditions are, but it's really about getting low and getting on the heels to get the control in those conditions. I've got some video maybe I can find to show you, and give it a try. One practice thing you can do is doing one-handed cutbacks in those conditions where you let go with your back hand, and then you're really driving on the heels, and you don't have the sail to help you with the turn, which can, or it just forces you then to be more aware of the board. And I think that's a good drill to do. It's a drill I recommend to everyone to do anyway, but especially Leon, with respect to your question. So if you've got more to that question, let's follow up in the Facebook group. Until next week, everyone, goodbye. Have a windy week. Take care. I'm signing off. You can find Paul on Instagram at Wave Traveler, or if you need help with your brand, if you have a brand and you want help with brand strategy, also contact him because he's an expert. All right, signing off. Have a good week, everyone. I'll see you in the Facebook group,
See you on the water.
and then see you on the water, and see you on the live stream.